It's daybreak on Arise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Let's begin with this day. Atiku says he'll make appointments on merit and federal character if he is elected next year. He's pledging to ensure equal representation of all geopolitical zones. There's more in this day. 20 billion naira bailout. Abakoba accuses the anti-graft agency EFCC of media trial of Kogi government. In the US, Pantami meets SpaceX, World Bank, Google to strengthen Nigeria's digital economy. Operating surpluses. Revenue mobilization recovers 120 billion naira from defaulting revenue-generating agencies. And Messi achieves life's ambition, wins World Cup for Argentina. A celebration across the world for him. Moving over now to the Punch newspaper. Finance bill Dangote 7-up. 170 firms may lose 2.4 trillion naira tax waivers. Well, 47 new applications await government's nod as the finance bill undergoes approval from the National Assembly. And the cash limits, POS operators have given the Central Bank of Nigeria an ultimatum. 80 million Nigerians risk job loss by 2030. That's according to the World Bank. And all earnings rise by 308 billion naira. That's on page 28. Unused SIMs rise by 177% to 105 million. Lagos couple lament 594 million naira loss to investment scam. It's a tough one. Messi shines as Argentina break 36-year World Cup jinx. The Nation newspaper. Atiku dumps Makinde for Adeleke bypasses the G5. Final reconciliation meeting with Wike and others collapses. That's what the Nation is saying. Messi makes history with Argentina. More pressure on Obaseki Okowa over derivation. Reported on page 5 on the Nation. And the Department of State Services withdraws personnel from Osun Governor Adeleke. 25 generals among 756 retired senior military officers. Over to The Guardian. Concerns as government shrugs off key inflation drivers. Reveal your real name and your background. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku, dares the APC candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And again, many feared killed as gunmen attack Enugu community. And Ohaneze knocks EFCC over utterance on Ekweremadu's trial. Those are some headlines in the local papers, the international papers. Let's see what they've said. They're saying this is the Daily Telegraph. Strikes trap elderly in hospitals. That's in the UK. That's Messi there. He cements his place as the greatest player in World Cup's history. The best final ever, some say. A Financial Times, COVID's rapid advance in China's cities sparks disruption and staff shortages. And Messi's crown, Argentina lifts the World Cup. Champions on The Guardian UK, champions Messi's crowning glory. Workers who made jeans for Tesco trapped in effective forced labour. More strikes in the UK. And in the Eye, delayed 999 call response times are costing lives. And that's a warning from paramedics. The greatest, Messi edges Kylian Mbappe in epic final shootout. It's a thrilling match in Doha. But before we get there, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello for the press preview. Good morning, Emmanuel. Good to see you on the show. We'll start with this day. Atiku says he'll make appointments on merit and federal character if he is elected. And there's another report saying he's bypassed the G5 is now turning to Governor Adeleke. How are things working out for the PDP, Emmanuel?
Well, from the newspapers this morning, Atiku had a good showing in these days. It's a good story for him, and it's based on an exclusive interview he's had with the paper, where he spoke on a very, very important subject, which is the issue of appointments. People worry a lot about appointment in this country, and in the past, a lot of people say that whether it should be based on federal character or merits. But the PDP presidential candidate is saying that it's going to be basically on merit. There are people that will say that's the way it should go. the whole federal character thing has always been a huge problem. So he says some nice things and in this day, and that story is good for him. But then the story in the Nation, Nation newspaper, well, in the nature of the Nation newspaper, isn't so such a a raving review of the Atiku candidacy. The paper is now talking about the collapse. The Nation is talking about the collapse of those talks. Remember, Kenneth, the effort to have a unified or united front by the party. But the Nation is doubling down on all the report is done on this candidate. I think it's become like a house style for the Nation newspaper now to continuously, hammer on the collapse of those meetings, of those peace talks. And this story is no different. It's bringing it out so clearly to talk about the fact that they've not agreed. But the good point in that story in the Nation newspaper is that Atiku is thinking plan B. He's moving ahead of G5 slightly, thinking of how to take maybe another route altogether. The story is talking about him bypassing the G5. For instance, the replacement of Makin, the governor of Oyo State, on the Presidential Campaign Council, replaced with Adeleke, who is seen to be, more, boisterous, kind of, he has all that, movie star quality with him, the dancer and everything. Maybe that will be able to earn him some kind of support around the, the Southwest. And that, so Atiku is thinking outside the box now, thinking beyond the G5, because it's like those meetings are deadlocked yet again, and that is not, Atiku doesn't seem to think there's a path through the G5. He's boasted in the past that he'll be able to, especially at the birthday of Wike, that there will be some kind of peace. But that did not happen. But back to the Disney story, Kenneth, like we looked at, it's saying Atiku is touching on something very, very important, appointments, and that a lot of people have blamed this government for not doing especially the security outfit, that it's been based on some form of nepotism, and that you have a lopsided kind of appointment. So, but Atiku, is working that back for his own administration and saying that won't happen if he becomes president. It's one of the biggest accusations labeled against the Buhari administration, that, for instance, the service chief came from one segment of the country, and that was not good for the nature, does not reflect our kind of person. So he's still talking about his unifying, slogan, and that his appointments are also going to be very diverse and going to be very reflective of the uniqueness and the diversity of our people. It's a good story for him in this day.
Let's move over now to the Nation newspaper, Emmanuel. This report coming out of Osun State, the Department of State Services has withdrawn its personnel from Governor Adeleke. And this comes as the feud over that 400 billion naira debt continues. How significant is this? What does it mean? Is it legal?
Well, I think it's the internal, even the Osun State government is already, talking about that. It played out throughout the weekend. The story that the DSS withdrawn its personnel from Adeleke, or people wondering whether that is not the governor's security is not tampered with. But again, this shows you the kind of internal wranglings that happen between those agencies. The story itself is that the DSS is saying that already the police has sent someone to play the role of the chief security officer, CSO, to the governor. So he doesn't see why they should have someone from the DSS go there. It's sometimes part of the crisis of security around the governors, when governors will make that decision whether they will use a policeman for the CSO or they will use somebody from the DSS or even from other forces. So it's always that. But then for the rest of us, I think the import of that story is just to show how many of these governors worry a lot about their own personal security, while we need to, the rest of us, wonder who is going to protect us, especially now that we're looking at the problem of insecurity squarely in the face. So they have the luxury and the opportunities to decide whether it's the police or it's the DSS that is going to provide them with security. the rest of us will wonder who is protecting us. I think for me, that's the only way to nationalize a story that is essentially an Osun State problem, but of course, with implications generally for this kind of issues of security. Who protects Kenneth? You and I. You don't have an agency, you don't have a CSO, I guess, and you have to get back home every evening. So you wonder why, whether it is the people have the IG himself has spoken in the past about the role of the policemen in protecting, providing VIP kind of security or even some kind of services around VIPs, and that he's looking more for a professional force. I think the DSS too need to continuously talk about that and think about that too. That there should be, and some of these kind of issues too can do well be kept out of the public glare, since they are matters of security too. But again, that's the crisis of overlapping that you see around these security agencies, especially when they just rush to provide cover for the big man.
The Punch newspaper now, Emmanuel. Cash limits. We're still talking money, money, money. Christmas is what, 6 days from today. Some people are not happy about the situation with the withdrawal limits. The POS point of sale operators have given the central bank an ultimatum, and they're looking forward to some good news this week. Let's see if that will happen. But Emmanuel, there's something which bothers me. These new notes, they've just been released recently, and at the bank it's been rationed. But you go to parties and you find people walking around with piles of money, new notes, selling them. What is it? Where is the problem coming from? Is it from the CBN or the commercial banks, or are Nigerians just stubborn?
Well, even if we are stubborn, you cannot legislate or regulate that a lot. I mean, it's maybe it's human
these are people
tendency.
selling cash. They're selling
but,
cash for money.
Yes, but I'm more worried about, because you're asking if Nigerians are just plain stubborn with all of that. Where's the place of regulation? Where's the place of serious policies in place that would check that? It's because people have a tendency to be stubborn. People have a tendency to actually do some of this thing, that you have leadership in place, you have governance in place, you have people who are regulators, people who are to monitor this. So, and that's why a lot of people think that this is not an entirely well thought out plan in the first place, because you need to worry about how to check the sort of thing that Kenneth you calling our stubborn nature. But yes, even with that, people still complain. There are a whole lot of complaints around the crisis of cash withdrawal, and even the problem of the notes themselves. Already people are talking about those notes being faked already, that there are counterfeits already in the market, and all of that. Those are some of the serious problems. I think that's why a lot of people were worried that this was rushed, this was not needful, and that we were facing an election, and that people will need cash and all that. And then the Christmas is coming. A lot of people are already looking forward to a cashless Christmas, where they will not have enough of that to sell. But the problem of counterfeiting and those things that you talk about, those black markets and all that, are some of the problems and some of the the crisis of these policies. Like I say, if it was well thought out, and there was maybe time to put in place checks that will stop some of this, it would have been very effective. But now those are the sort of problem that we have to worry about: the black markets, the counterfeiting, the fact that it's not even there at all. I was in my bank the other day for the new notes. I didn't get any. Kenneth, I don't know if you got some from your
I
bank.
haven't got any.
Yeah, so there's that problem. So people can just get even this cash. So these are some of the things that people are worried about. Members of the National Assembly have actually looked at all those problems and say those are some of the kind of crises surrounding a policy that seemed to be jumped on us suddenly. But then government said they needed to do that to mop out all those monies. We've had all those arguments, and that now we just have to face them. But you get your banks, and those money, like you say, are rationed. It appears they actually look at your face and decide whether you deserve those kind of money. I don't know what the banks are doing, but some of them have complained that they don't have enough of it on ground to even give out. In the first, one bank claiming it has only 1 million of that. So those are some of the issues, and the days are ticking. By next week or in a few days' time, these monies in our pockets are no longer legal tenders, and a lot of people wonder what's going to happen. Some people think that it's going to just dip in the hardship and deepen the crisis of cash in the economy.
Thank you for your take this morning, Manuel. That's the press preview. And you can join us on Twitter at Arise TV. Follow us. You can join the conversation at Arise Daybreak.